Welcome to Talk 100.3 on Talk Sport and Business. I'm Neil Oja. With me is Lachlan Kitchen. And joining us today is the founder of Anubhuti Advisors LLP, which is an equity and strategic advisory firm, Mr. Ameet Desai, who has spent a lot of his time being the Group CFO of Adani Group. Mr. Desai, welcome to Talk Sport and Business.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's wonderful to have you on the show. If I can be so blunt to ask, what is the secret of Adani's company's growth over the past couple of years and the secret of the success?
So I think, thank you for having me, as I said, and good evening to all your listeners there. I think it's not just about last couple of years. If you look at the success of Adani Group, it is founded over 25, 30 years of very foundational work, which is done by promoters, Mr. Gautam Adani, and the team that he chooses to work with him. And what has manifested is a lot of hard work has seen the best results coming out over past 2 to 3 years, where markets have, in a very unequivocal way, recognized not just the growth that each of this business has come to so far and the potential for growth, but also the value that it offers to the shareholders of each of these companies.
Diversification is one way to look at, putting your money in different, aspects of businesses. We also know that Gautam Bhai was very keen on, getting into cricket, the business of cricket. IPL didn't work out, but ILT20, a league here in UAE is happening, and we have a team there. If you could throw some light on that as well.
Well, I think sports at Adani Group, I think, has taken more as a social cause than as business.
Okay.
If you see, there are a number of players that Adani Group has supported at the national level and international level in the past 5 years. And there is a team which is working with different sports people across athletics to different games.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been investing in their coaching, in their nutrition, in their training, and making sure that each of them make progress. So I think ILT20, yes, it's one manifestation to support cricket, and that's going to continue in different ways. You might know that there is already a kabaddi team which Adani Group is supporting, and it's doing pretty well in India.
Right. Now, I mean, this is where we also get to learn so much from the success of the Adani Group. But then, personally speaking, Gautam Bhai is not a very, media savvy person, someone who will come and talk to media very regularly and show his personal life. What is and how is he as a person? You spend so much time with him.
So, interesting question. I think he's a very simple, down-to-earth human being, mm-hmm. if you ask me. And someone who has seen his growth over past 25 plus years. What is most admirable about him is his humility is intact.
Mm-hmm.
His desire to help others has remained intact. And his connect with people on the ground is pretty much intact. Yes, he is a media shy person, but whenever he talks, I think he talks in a very involved and a passionate manner. If you listen to one of his recent TED Talks, mm-hmm. or the one that he did at the Times Summit in Mumbai recently, you can clearly see the passion that he exudes about the businesses. As an individual, otherwise, he is close to two aspects of life, as I have seen him. One is work, and other is family.
Wow.
You won't find him anywhere else. You would either find him working, or you would find him with his family. And that's how he has been. And I think that has been his consistent way of being. And that's what he believes in.
With the rise of his financial success, this is the first time, according to Bloomberg, that an Asian has made the list of the top 3 wealthiest people in the world, which I think is a fantastic achievement. Do you think this is going to inspire other people?
I'm sure it would. I mean, it should, and it would inspire, because the first Asian to make it to the top 5 is in itself a huge feat of achievement. But knowing Gautam Bhai, trying to answer partially the question that Neil asked previously, he is not the one who is looking at this as a sort of a destination or a milestone. I think he's taking this in his stride as a journey. Because if you look at each of his business, there is an alignment to the national growth agenda. And then he makes sure that each business scales up to a grand level, which is truly an international level in terms of scale and size. And that's what I think excites him the most. This is possibly an outcome which is manifested in the wealth building. But to him, I think this is more a journey than a milestone.
Wow, this is very well said. Normally we read these quotes early in the morning, on Instagram, where they say, don't bother about the destination, enjoy the journey. But here's a classic example of someone who's done that.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, to add to what I was saying, as I have known him, he always believed and believes in sharing wealth. Now, this may not look like a capitalist point of view, but if you look at the history, until 2007, there was only one listed company in the group called Adani Enterprises, which remains the flagship, which is the incubator of all the businesses that the group has built very successfully. But between then and now, there are 7 listed companies. And as someone who has been with him and who has been responsible to list 4 out of the total 7 listed companies, I think the listing of each of his businesses is nothing but expression of Mr. Adani's clear desire to share his wealth as he grows each of these businesses.
Wow. You mentioned a while back that 4 of the listings, the 4 of the IPOs that Adani Group came out with, you were instrumental in those. What was your day at work? When you were the advisor to the chairman and the group CFO.
So, typical day at work for anybody at Adani is it would begin between 9 and 10 in the morning. And as I would like to put it, for the leadership team, I guess not just me, this is true of leadership team, which is very broad and deep now within the Adani Group, would end when you are really tired for the day.
Wow.
You go home because that's how Gautam Bhai works himself. You will find him in the office well past midnight on some days.
Wow.
And therefore, he's a very hardworking man. It's very hard to compete with him, even on that aspect.
I'm very interested on that. You mentioned that he has the priorities of work or family. Can you run through what is a day for him? What does he achieve in a day? When does he get up? When does he start his meetings? What would a day in the life of Gautam Adani entail?
So I think he would typically be getting up around 6:30 in the morning, as I possibly know. And then I think he's pretty regular about his yoga, because that he does pretty religiously. Despite having a hectic travel schedule, he does that. And then I think you will see him on his iPad and on his phone, making sure that he gives decisions or clearances where he needs to, and reads what he has to read. He's on the top of almost everything. You send him a WhatsApp and you get a prompt reply from him. Then I think he finishes his virtual meetings, since last 2 years has been a reality, for a couple of hours before he sets out for the office. So I think you'll see him in office by anywhere around 10:30, 11. And then for next 12 hours, you will see him in office.
Wow. I mean, a while back when we were discussing that we'll get to speak to you today, Kish and I were talking about how does a billionaire spend his life? We were talking that if we had a few billions in our bank account, how would we live our life? Kish had some very basic requirements, Kish, if I may share,
sure,
of clean white bed sheets every night before he goes to sleep, and fresh ones. And I said that, fresh ones, yeah. And I would like to have a nice backyard where I could, walk walk bare feet on the grass. Growing up in Bombay, I've never had that luxury. So, these are the things. But considering what you've said over here, our dreams are getting shattered, that even if we have a few billions, we have to spend 12, 14 hours in the office every day.
Well, Neil, that's a reality, because I think these fresh white sheets to sleep on won't take you billions. Kids quite knows that, right? So, and I think putting your feet on the nice square of lawns may take you a few $1 million, but not really billions. And to that extent, I think, as I said, money should be a means to create business. And when you said having few billions in bank accounts, I think that would be true for not just Gautam Bhai, but most successful businessmen. They won't keep billions in bank accounts. Their billions will always be invested in the businesses that they believe in.
There you go.
And that is greater than a bank that they can really put their money into.
Very well said over here. I mean, I would want to, take a moment of yours. Investing in the right things, and you being a CFO who understands finances better than anyone else, how does one invest rightly and probably have a sense of where should the money go? Because, stock markets are, risky. FDs don't pay you enough. You put in a new business that's a startup, you don't know if there is a massive risk factor and the return guarantee is not there, ROI. You never know. How do you sense and how do you make a practical, informed decision on that?
So I think you two are pretty young, early days in your life, as I see both of you. One of the rules that a wise man set for equity investing is 100 minus each.
Okay.
So once you have your own dwelling place, call it home or whatever, you can start investing meaningfully in equity in a bigger way. Till then, you do what is called systematic investing. But I think equity is the only meaningful risk that you must take if you really want to build wealth in life. Is there risk? Yes. Are there risk mitigation to be done? Yes. You start with mutual funds and then start understanding companies where you put your money. But without meaningful risk, there won't be meaningful rewards which would help you build wealth. And this is very personal, right? Two people may feel very different about equity investing. But since you asked me a question, and that's one of the areas which I really keenly learn about every day, equity is the best way to build wealth.
When you hear some of the great investors, for example, Warren Buffett has all his basic rules when it comes to investing about starting with communication and when investing, innovate, don't follow. You mentioned the importance of equity. Does Gautam Adani have sort of basic, simple rules when it comes to investing or looking at companies to invest in?
Yes, he does follow rules. There is an elaborate risk management framework that the group now has, as it is publicly talked about. And the greater you become in your business, the more responsibility you have, because there are many people who invest in your ventures based on what you are doing and what you are likely to get at. So I think his basic rules, if I may talk about, just take the illustration of the cement business that he acquired from Holcim. And in the interview that he gave to the press the next day, he made a very interesting point, which some people may have noticed, that there is no country which can import cement, right? He said, and for India to grow, to build as many roads, to build as many dwelling units, to build all the factories, the cement demand is bound to grow. And therefore, he says that this is in line with nation building agenda that the group has.
Wow.
Now, sounds so simple, but so profound, that somebody looks at cement as not a commodity, but as an ingredient to build your infrastructure and therefore your nation. And that's how businesses become successful.
I mean, this is massive vision. The moment I read that report about the acquisition, and I was like, cement acquisition, Adani Group, which is one of the top groups in the world, I mean, is looking to acquire cement business. And now when you put it in this way, it looks like, we definitely, probably fail to have that vision that the man sitting up there has. And probably the reason why Adani Group is where it is today.
Absolutely. And I'm only sharing the vision that I have understood from his expression. If I think everybody starts having that kind of vision, then we would have a bit of a problem in the world. So I think it's best that the vision is left to a few visionary and rest are executioners. I think that would be the best sort of combination on the ground to make things happen.
No, definitely, and makes us feel all the more proud, and especially for me, it's like a personal gain, personal victory, personal corner of happiness where I see Gujarati is doing so well. Adani search hai. Then the Ambani is doing it. So for me, someone who's a Gujarati, I feel like Garvi Gujarat everywhere in the world, we are there.
Absolutely. Garvi Gujarat on one side, and with Kitch being on the show, how can we forget Australia, which is one of the largest the largest investment that the group has made outside India.
Right.
And it has been a belief of Mr. Adani, despite all the odds, that this is the piece of resources that we must develop.
Okay.
And he has been personally engaged with that venture for almost 8 years now. And it has become a case study as to how this whole project is now becoming a business, and it would hopefully sustain for over the next century. One would definitely be sure for next several decades, but I would hope it goes over next century for everybody to keep seeing it and keep benefiting from it.
This is amazing. I mean, Amit bhai, with you sitting and having this conversation is like, learning so much that we didn't learn in our business schools. It's all practical experience coming in from years of your experience and, the time that you spent with Mr. Adani. For us, it's absolutely every second is worth its time in gold.
Thank you so much for saying that. And I can only tell you one thing. Only this morning I met a businessman who is 75 now, and therefore he has given his business to the next generation.
Right.
And he asked me as to what have I studied, and I told him that 2 years of business school and 36 years of real world.
Wow.
So I think each of us keep learning every day, and my learning with my association with Gautam Bhai has been immense. That's possibly the school which I carry 99 units of learning in my bag today from.
Brilliant. I mean, we would definitely love to chat up with you sometime soon whenever you have time. We'll be more than happy to host you on our show and, continue this conversation. Thank you so much for your time today and joining us on our show.
Neil and Kitch, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, and have a great evening ahead. Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, weren't there some tremendous insights there here on Talk 100.3, having a conversation there with Ameet Desai, who was one of the close associates of now the third richest man in the world, but also the richest man in Asia, Gautam Adani. That's been a fantastic insight to just get some personal tips and lessons on how to live your life.
Oh, this is brilliant. I mean, the closing statement coming in from Mr. Desai was that whatever I've learned in business school is 2 years, but 36 years of practical work X, and no one can take that away from you. And I think, whatever we've learned from this conversation, I think, my few bucks are definitely going in the equity market.
0586861003 is the WhatsApp number. If you want the phone number, it's 800 810